The college basketball experience. Which programs have the best NIL collective in the year 2024 edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And it's football season, so make sure you get on over there and check out our free roll football contest up for $3,500 in prizes up for grabs. Go over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/free roll to enter today. And welcome, everybody, to the college basketball experience. Tuesday, September the 3rd, which means we're getting closer and closer to November 4th. Can't wait to talk about it. Going to try something out new here, dive into some topics across the landscape of college basketball. November 4th is coming, but first, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. Also known as Mac Tonight over here at the College Basketball Experience. And you know who we're bringing on here, because we're talking college hoops, and it's right around the corner. By the way, it's preview season, so make sure you're subscribed to TCE. But you guys know him behind the scenes over there at the College Football Experience. He is the host of the College Baseball Experience, co-host of the College Basketball Experience, because he's the drywall hanging, window banging, LeBaron driving, Noah Bieniek. What's up, man?
What's going on, Mac? Yeah, it's Sicko season. It's Sicko season for college basketball. You know, you got snorkeler season in March. College basketball season begins in November. Sicko season is September. 62 days, 61 days until college basketball. I can't remember what Rothstein's countdown said, but, let's have some fun. I mean, the math has been done. We're going to deliver close to like 4 conference previews per week to meet TCE's yearly goal of previewing every conference before first tip on the season. So Mac and I, we've talked a good amount this offseason, wanting to kind of evolve TCE's delivery and content. Mac doesn't just want to be known as the guy that delivers the best free daily college basketball picks in bulk with 70 picks on a Saturday. He's gained knowledge about the sport from working with some of the game's greatest, and he wants to spread that around even more. And me, I know where my bread is buttered. I get to make content with Mac on college basketball for every day during the preseason. That's what we're going to do. We're diving in head first, covering college basketball's biggest preseason headlines daily this year throughout the preseason. In the past, we've never been able to have the ability to do this, to expand on our takes for teams, players beyond the conference previews, because we were working our asses off on conference previews up until the final day of the preseason, right before the first tip. So, in result, TCE Trims are expanding. Last year, TCE Trims was only on YouTube, and it was short for just the picks only version on YouTube, and on podcasts and audio platforms, the listeners didn't really know what TCE Trims were, but it is now coming into full life, as it's going to be the daily college basketball experience headline shows. Basically, the biggest news of the day in college basketball, we'll cover it in TCE Trims. Short 10 to 30 minute college basketball news content. I'm thinking we're going to provide our analysis, our takes on every day's buzz on college basketball during the regular season. We plan to deliver this style of content, but we're not really ready to release kind of the details of how we're going to do that in the regular season. We're still deciding, because we are doing the nightly 1 hour, sometimes an hour and a half pick shows. So, Mac, I don't know how well I did at kind of putting out a summary at the beginning of the show, but if there's anything else that you'd like to add, we're getting today's meat of the episode. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head, Noah.
Let's go.
I mean, we want to expand TCE and the college basketball experience. We've grown so much over the last couple of years, and we want to expand upon what we've grown this brand into, and give you guys even more content that you guys deserve. And you guys have been great, liking and subscribing to the channel. And I mentioned it over at the Summer Coaches Tour, another segment that we've added this offseason, that we're going to expand it even more. And it's only because of the viewer. You guys liking, subscribing, donating, whatever you've done, telling a friend, telling your cousin, telling your mother, telling whoever. It's gone a long way and helped us pull off stuff that we're going to do this year and can continue to grow the college basketball experience into the premier channel for college basketball content in the country.
Yeah, it's very fun stuff. And as we do continue to grow and we're delivering more and more content, we do have to try to make a little bit of money. And we're going to do that with the daily episodes. We're going to throw in short ads, and it's going to begin right here, right now. With the Sports Gambling Podcast, they're back picking every NFL game against the spread like they've done since 2011. Plus, you can make sure to enter the free roll football contest up to $3,500 in cash up for grabs. Sign up today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/free roll. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/free roll. And the NFL is back, and Underdog Fantasy is giving you a chance to win 1,000 times your entry. Sign up today with the promo code TCESGPN. Also at the top left portion of the screen on YouTube here, TCESGPN, to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football, for basketball, for baseball? SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors with all levels of the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code SGPN or TCE for our show for $20 off your first purchase. Terms again apply. Create an account, redeem code TCE for our show, SGPN for the network for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Mac, I don't read much in the off season and my summer. My attention span is pretty short in the short amount of time that I get off between college baseball and the beginning of college football with Colby. And then also we're doing the preseason content here with college basketball. But something that came across the timeline, college basketball news wise, specifically today, but it was kind of, they filtered it back out there. It was a dim day for news. CBS Sports throughout the summer did this Candid Coaches series. Matt Norlander, Gary Parrish, and the CBS team surveyed over 100 college basketball coaches, and they're providing various answers in anonymity of these 10 questions that they asked the coaches. And they're putting them out in an article form to the masses. 3 stories, just for example of what they did. They asked the coaches, who's your preseason #1 team for the upcoming year? Who's the best player entering this new season? And what was the best coaching hire in this past offseason? All of those are fine, good articles, probably SEO friendly. A lot of people are looking to find out what the coaches are going to say, but that's not really what caught my attention. The one that we're going to talk about today, honestly, coaches were asked to list 3 schools. And again, all of these answers are anonymous. They were told to list the top 3 schools that they believe have the best NIL situations. Mac, just like I'm sure all of these coaches were, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who would be on your top 3 list?
Kansas would be 1. Number 2 would be Arkansas now, because John Calipari's there and Tyson's chicken, baby. So they would be 2. And then I went back and forth on who I thought would be 3. And I think I'm going to end up saying for my number 3, I'm going to say Kentucky. Just like okay. I had 2 blue bloods and then I had Calipari. That was kind of where I fell on. I almost said Duke. I almost said Carolina. But I just also think the SEC and the Big 12 have pulled away from the ACC type schools in terms of NIL stuff. and just getting creative with their collectives, especially the SEC, basically legalizing what they've done for years and years. So, yeah, I would say Kansas, Arkansas, and Kentucky.
Yeah, I don't think you went wrong in any which way. I would probably go just for this specific offseason, Arkansas, Kansas, Louisville.
Yeah,
But
Louisville.
I do want to say, where's Miami in this conversation? Like Miami with Life Wallet last year, that was a huge topic that a lot of people were like up in arms about during the season. I remember, I think it was Forbes over at Wake Forest calling them out after they won, that we didn't have to pay our roster to come in and play here. So yeah, just playing devil's advocate against the CBS article, Miami didn't get a single vote.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just the top 3 list, that's really hard to squeeze in, quality, like NIL programs that we believe are pretty powerful into that top 3 list. But here are the 27 schools that did receive at least 1 vote from the anonymous coaches poll over here on CBS Sports Candid Coaches Series. Arizona, Florida, Georgetown, McNeese State, Ole Miss, Oregon, Villanova, Washington. They all received 1 vote of over 100 surveyed coaches. St. John's had 2.1%. Ohio State also had 2.1%. 2 teams had 3.2%. Those were Memphis and Texas. Tennessee with 4.2% of the survey. North Carolina with 6.3%. Also right there with UConn at 6.3%. Duke at 8.4%. Texas Tech at 9.5%, Illinois at 9.5% as well, Alabama 10.5%, Louisville 11.6%, and then the top 6 here. Baylor at 11.6% as well with Louisville, sorry. Kansas State at 13.7%. Indiana makes the top 5 at 16.9%. Kentucky 25.3%. BYU in the top 3 at 30.6%. Kansas at 43.2%. And Arkansas ran away with this thing with a whopping 73.7%.
Dyson's
now,
chicken, baby.
I know. What's your first reaction to, like, hearing the data pool, the specific programs that are kind of at the top of the standings or maybe a little bit farther down?
It kind of aligned with what I said. Kansas, Kentucky, Arkansas. The big one, I think that throws everybody off a little bit, is BYU, but
yeah,
to get a guy like Kevin Young to come over there from the NBA, they paid. I think they paid him $5 million. They're not paying him $5 million and not giving him NIL money to pay and get a roster. They've brought back some guys from Mark Pope's team. They've invested, got a talented freshman class coming in, got a lottery pick potentially. You're not getting those guys unless you pay up. So BYU really investing in their basketball program and transitioning into the Big 12 last year. Indiana, Louisville, proud programs that want to get back to where they once were, really investing this offseason. Good for them. Okay, and then the kind of the Big 12, not middle class, but like the class that you kind of assume is going to be in the dance every year with Baylor, K-State, then you got Texas Tech, all who have made March runs in the last 5 years. And then Alabama and Illinois, they've invested with Oates and Underwood, and they're just going to continue to win as well. So it's not really surprising. BYU being as high as they were was a little surprising to me.
BYU's definitely in that immediate reaction that stands out to me personally, but I think even more so, it's that circle of chaos around Mark Pope. Kevin Young, who replaces him at BYU. The Cougars, they're ranked 3rd. John Calipari comes over from Kentucky to Arkansas. They're the runaway top voted team. Pope, who is BYU, also replacing Calipari there at Kentucky, is ranked 4th. So all 3 of those programs kind of replacing their coaches and coming in the top 4. I want to go deeper into this BYU situation though, because Rush. Do we know where Rush? Do we know where Rush Bishop's spare cash has been going the past 730 days? Brigham Young went from 5th place in the WCC 2 years ago to the 3rd most feared program when it comes to the streets, the Wild West of the NIL. How much money do they actually have? This is all, again, speculation from other coaches in an anonymous survey through CBS Sports. I mean, the Cougars were a 6th seed in the NCAA tournament last year. From 5th place to the WCC to 6th seed in the NCAA tournament, to ranked third and maybe resources. Mac, is BYU already bringing the benefits of the NIL era to fruition?
Yeah, and you mentioned how to transition into a new league and have success. Well, this helps. It, it, it is remarkable, but Rush has always said this, and I agree with him. BYU is a national brand, and
100%.
they're different. They're different than everybody because of being Mormon and just the church element to it. When they came to Morgantown this year before they flew to Norman, they're like, we got to go to church on Sunday. We got to have off on this day. They still have to do their way of life, but at the same time, you can convince a guy to go to BYU and live the Mormon lifestyle for a year, like a lottery pick, like they have this year potentially, compared to doing it for 3 to 4 years like they did in the past, where Brandon Davies got suspended or kicked off the team for the NCAA tournament for having sex. So, like, the times have changed. BYU's a sleeping juggernaut. I'm surprised that they're not as high on the football because BYU football is also a brand, but they love their basketball at BYU. Danny Ainge, and they're just another team in the Big 12. It's a fun league.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're taking advantage of it, and I mean, it's a good thing. I like to see this story. It's a good story, and like you said, it's a brand that is actually coming to the national forefront in college basketball. Once again, Mac, one last, maybe not one last, but I have a thought on this too. But I want to hear from you first. What do you make of the blue bloods on this list, like Duke, UConn, North Carolina, getting surveyed, listed less than 9% of the time? Those three are big brands, usually pretty good in high school recruiting. And you look at UConn this year, specifically with the transfer portal, they got a couple of big names. What's your thoughts on those three programs being ranked a little bit lower than one would expect?
That was kind of what I thought about. I was like, man, I want to say Duke and Carolina, but I just feel like the time is not past Duke and Carolina. I don't want to say that. They just got Cooper Flag, and of course Carolina's going to have players every year. But I just feel like it's lit even the playing field a little bit. And I think the ACC is kind of fallen behind over the past years with the way that they've invested in their coaching facilities. And it doesn't surprise me that the NIL is a little bit behind as well. But of course, Duke and Carolina, they're always going to have those brands, but it's not the same as it was with Coach K and Roy Williams. And I've been saying that for a couple of years. And I think it's going to take a couple cycles for people to realize that. UConn, though, I'm not surprised. I mean, they're in the Big East. That's why they're looking to try and get to the Big 12, more money, more resources. But it also shows that Dan Hurley's the best coach in college basketball right now. He does more with less. He maximizes what he has resources-wise, and he blends everybody in, and that's why they're 12-0 ATS in the last two March Madnesses combined, where they just drill everybody somehow, time and time again. But, yeah, it's even the playing field, and teams that want to invest can really jump up and be competitive right away.
Yeah, it's an interesting take from you. I mean, I have an opinion. I think there's a couple of different conclusions that you could be able to draw from this, but I go back to the beginning, like where I said, it is only a 3-team survey. List your top 3 teams, and in my opinion, I think it just comes to how public is your desperation to win, where whether it's a fan base or an athletic department. As Gary Parrish states in the article, a lot of the programs in here have new coaches. I mean, that's very public that you're kind of desperate to turn this thing around. But there are some programs like Indiana, Illinois, Memphis, St. John's, Florida, Georgetown. All 6 fan bases are kind of desperate to become bigger players in the game today than they are in the current landscape. So none of those programs have new coaches. I think NIL receives some negative connotation. Another name that I saw here that I kind of want to respond and say, oh, here's a good example of why NIL could really work out in today's day and age of college basketball. McNeese State. Many people in that community, they have the feeling that Will Wade's not going to be around forever, and they need to try to win right now, as they don't know how long they're going to have him. If you are one out there that is going to say, well, they have an advantage over the other teams in the Southland Conference, I mean, yeah, that's probably correct. But by winning games and making the NCAA tournament, winning games in the NCAA tournament, you're going to make more money for your athletic department. I don't think there should be a reason for you not to spend in college basketball, in college football, in college baseball, and women's college basketball. You're going to make money in those sports. I mean, and that's going to that has a chance to directly go right back into your roster. So it's part of the reason why I think McNeese State had their winningest season in recent memory. I can't remember the last time they won 25 plus games. But I think it was very interesting to see that McNeese State even got one vote. I wonder who, Mac, one last question. I think this will be the final one. Who do you think was part of the poll that, CBS Sports, that Parrish, Norlander, they got? Because, I mean, there's some select groups, I would say. I mean, a lot of teams in the South, whether that represents the current state of college basketball or whether that represents the survey that they grab,
Yeah, primarily Power 5 guys, just because Power 5s 95% of the time are going to have the most. I've been doing a bunch of mid-major coaches right now, Noah. College of Charleston is being treated like a high major program from an NIL collective and facilities and resources. And don't sleep on High Point too. It's a very beautiful campus. And I think like these programs, these universities that have a lot of money, a lot of resources, that I think they're starting to invest in their NIL. They see what Gonzaga is, and they got a 20-year sample size to build up to be Gonzaga. But I think you start by paying up and investing in your program and keeping Power 5s away from poaching your players via the portal and NIL. And real quick, I want to put a bow on this.
Go ahead.
3 programs that really stick out that weren't on this list but have been in the top 10 the last 3 years, or last 2 to 3 years. Houston, Iowa State, and Purdue. Like, that just this kind of is a testament. Don't get me wrong, they're still investing in their NIL at those 3 places, but how good Sampson, Otzelberger, and Painter are of just running their program the way that they do things and continuing to be in the top 10 to 15 every single year.
Great call out. I couldn't agree with you more there.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap up today's episode of TCE Trims. If there's another slow day of college basketball news, expect us to react to 1 or 2 more of these CBS Sports candid coaches stories, as they are really good stuff. Also, if there's a topic that you guys, the listeners and the viewers, want to hear from us on, leave it down in the comments below here on YouTube, or hit us up on Twitter/X, Moneyline_Mac, Noah B77_. We will be here every day throughout the offseason, providing daily news episodes, and also our conference previews begin this week on Thursday, beginning with the Northeast Conference, as we are going in reverse order of last season's final KenPom rankings. Also, check out Mac's summer school coaches tour that he's been doing all off season long. He says he's going to have at least 68. The goal is 68, so we can fill up an entire bracket of Team TCE squads. That's going to be amazing. Check those things out and hear from the coaches firsthand on what their squads are looking like for the upcoming season. Here on YouTube, we will have these things sorted into a nice playlist, both the summer school coaches tour, the news episodes that we're doing and experimenting here with, the conference preview episodes. If you would just want to binge one of those series, you can go over there into the playlist tab here on our YouTube channel, and you can find those. You can also find in the playlist the college football experience, the Big 12 college experience, the college baseball experience. Also, if you scroll a little bit further on our YouTube channel, you can find more SGPN shows, as we have something for everybody here at Sports Gambling Podcast Network. MMA Gambling Podcast, NBA Gambling Podcast, Golf Gambling Podcast, F1 Gambling Podcast, NBA Gambling Podcast, if I didn't already say that. If you want one main show that dips their toes into every big event while also hitting it home on NFL and really kind of hammering that and making good money over there, check out the flagship show, the Sports Gambling Podcast. Do us one favor as we head out of here. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button. This has been the college basketball experience. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.
Peace out.